So you have the ojojo and the Scotch bonnet jam, a goosey bowl, moi moi, jollof quinoa.
What table?
Table 7, please. There. I always love cooking at home. Ife and I always used to love cooking together. Prep is what I really, really love. You're making those dishes, you're feeling the beans, you're smelling the sauces, smelling the spices. That's where the real enjoyment for me comes out.
Food for me has been, for a long time, associated with human connection because of my earliest childhood experiences, whether it's watching my nana make pepper soup or fighting with my brother and sister over who's going to have the last bite of a particular dish. Food for me is so closely tied with human connection that I honestly think it is an act of love when someone says they'll cook for you.
I'm Ifeyinwa and Frederick, co-founder of Chuku's.
Hi, I'm Emeka Frederick, co-founder of Chuku's and her big brother. On the table today, we're going to have moi moi, which is like a pureed bean steamed pudding. Our one in our restaurant, we don't actually use crayfish and we don't put mackerel in it either, like some other moi moi has. Then we have a goosey bowl, which is our pride and joy in the restaurant. A goosey is melon seeds. You grind up and you make it into a stew with red peppers, with spinach. We make our goosey bowl in a deconstructed way. So we kind of pay homage to the three of the key ingredients of it, the red peppers and the palm oil, the goosey itself, and then spinach, and actually make 3 separate stews based on those dishes. It's actually also at the same time paying homage to abula, which is another soup and stew combination, which is a tricolor of stews as well. And then jollof quinoa. So jollof traditionally is done with rice. So a steamed, rich tomato-based stew, seasoned and fragrance with different herbs and spices, and then you steam the rice in it. We do our variant here at Chuku's with quinoa. I'm proud to say we've converted many to jollof quinoa over the years we've been open.
From a young age, we would always talk about, wouldn't it be so great if there was a Nigerian restaurant that was accessible from where we live, that we could go to with all our different friends, that we felt was really celebrating the culture in the way that we wanted to see it celebrated. And, time was passing, we were going to restaurants from all other different cultures for friends' birthdays. And there still wasn't like a place that we felt was somewhere we could frequent, you could go here and then head to a bar afterwards, that whole kind of vibe. And then we kind of got into our 20s, been talking about this for a while, and you get to the point where I think you either decide to do something or you just decide to shut up and stop complaining.
This is the biggest project that we've undertaken together, and I think we've just continued to follow the principles that our family kind of live by, which is to kind of work hard, always to kind of give our all, but at the same time in working hard, always to have fun.
Between 2016 and particular 2018, kind of up until the pandemic, to be honest, London had this really bubbling pop-up scene, which we were aware of and that we thought we wanted to be a part of. And it was a really great entry into the restaurant industry for many new businesses. Being a permanent site is very different to being a pop-up. In a pop-up, you only need a certain number of people to come once and then you do it again another month. A permanent site, we were going to be open 52 weeks of the year. We were soon going to learn, could we do this?
Chuku's, as the Nigerian Tapas restaurant, wasn't called Chuku's. It was initially called Chuk's Lounge, and then we were called Chuku's, the Nigerian Tapas Lounge. And so I think we had Chop Chat Chill from then, before we were Chuku's, the Nigerian Tapas restaurant. So it was so, what's the word? So central to what we were doing. I suppose is really helped to refine the ideas and the concept we're doing, because we always wanted it to be around food, the chop, Nigerian pigeon for eat, and then the chat always being that sociable atmosphere, and then chill being always about the culture and how it can be creative and immersive. the community is such a big factor for us. Not just, I think when we say community, often people think, initially just like, the Nigerian diaspora community in the UK. But actually it's more than that. There's like, for us, we see community as a way of being, like your connection to the world in general.
Chuku's has always been about more than just food. Because if it was just about the food, we would have stopped at the...
Chop.
Yeah, just chop. But I think in the chat and the chill, in those three words, you've got a really succinct, I guess, way of understanding what the Chuku's experience is like. The journey from opening the brick and mortar restaurant to today has been nothing short of a roller coaster. And I remember the day we opened and the shutter came up and our parents and friends were outside like cheering us on. Oh my God. We didn't come from the industry. Emeka and I very much took a chance and would work so hard. And there were definitely points when we were site hunting where I just thought it's never gonna happen. We're never gonna find somewhere. And I think it is like, if I was talking back to the 23-year-old me when we started, I think she would be like, nah, mad, like so gassed about how far we've come. And so despite the challenges, like navigating lockdown was hell. Restaurants are notoriously difficult businesses. A restaurant during a global pandemic and now an economic crisis is even tougher.
We need your help.
We opened our restaurant 3 years ago.
Just 5 weeks before the pandemic. But we must admit, we're struggling to keep our doors open.
We're proud to have shared our Nigerian culture with so many of you, and we want to keep the celebration of our culture going right here on Tottenham's High Road.
That's why we're launching the Chuku's 6-week charge.
At every point in the Chuku's journey, the community have really shown up from the pop-up. Then when we were site hunting, I remember in particular that these twins, they're like, we're looking with you, they'd DM us, they'd be like, what about this place? What about this place? And when we would post about the fact that, look, this is tough, the encouragement that we used to get on social media, or still do get on social media, honestly, on difficult days, it really like lifted us and still does continue to lift us. Then we'd found somewhere we're fundraising and we were still a bit short. We did a crowdfunder. That energy was just insane. Tottenham has a wonderful community spirit. What I've experienced in Tottenham from a community spirit point of view is not something that I was used to growing up. The people that belong here, essentially, that for here it's their home, whether it's their professional home or their personal home, I feel are very invested in what happens in their community. And I think, especially in today's age, that's so lovely and beautiful to witness. And I think then as being a business in that area, actually it's something to feel very proud of. And as a new resident coming in, I remember when we first moved in, like, hi. There's just a bit of nerves, you know?
Of course.
Will the local residents like you? How you get on with your neighbours either side? And actually now walking down and you do your, like your nods, you know?
It's been a really tough couple of years. Not just that, but I think a couple of things in the lead up to it over the last few months have been a signposting to better days. Because at moments where I suppose the challenges just keep coming one after another and you keep gritting your teeth and getting through, you do start to think, is it worth it? Like, will it ever end? Does it make sense to keep going through it all? You know, we want to celebrate the best of Nigerian cuisine and culture and showcase that across the UK. So getting from the pop-ups to the restaurant, our first permanent restaurant was the start. Trying to do that for this corner of London. But now we continue that mission. When I said continue to share Chuku's in a greater, more widely way. Hopefully there'll be more restaurants to come.